Hi, everybody. My name is Ekta. I'm a third year podiatry student and I study at the University of Northampton. Today's episode is going to be so mind blowing to all the students and new grads, and this is going to be for you guys. So, this episode is 100% catered to you guys. I have a very special guest with me today. You've probably seen him on my channel before, quite a few times actually, a serial offender. We've got Jackson Tisdale with us today. He's done something pretty epic, and I'm so happy that this is finally this is actually come about. I think this is one of a kind. So he's recently released an ebook called 50 Podiatry Lessons They Don't Teach You at University. Hi, Jackson. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks, Ekta. Thank you for having me back on. I'm excited to talk about this today. And thank you. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. I'm pretty excited to have you here too. Before we begin, congratulations on the baby on the way. Are you you must be quite excited, you and Danny?
Yeah, it's very exciting. We're probably three weeks away or so at the moment. So I guess it could come at any time. So we're ready to go, as ready as you can be. It's it's all happening
during this interview. Could you imagine?
yeah, I could imagine. But as ready as we can be, ready to go.
So let me ask you, what inspired you to make this ebook?
So I've been talking to a lot of podiatry students and new graduates for a while now, like for over the last 2 or 3 years. I've been doing a lot of mentoring and just back and forth. I've been talking to a lot of students and new graduates, and being a new graduate is fresh in my mind as well. So I'm only 4 years out of university, so I'm still relatively fresh, but I've learned some lessons along the way. And I'm sort of a little bit more comfortable in the way that I practice. And I'd say, without being overconfident, I'm very confident in what I do with my clients, and I'm starting to reflect on that a little bit. Some of the things that I've been talking to new graduates and students about over the last few years is just little frustrations, little things they're not sure about, still some confusion around some of the private practice stuff that you just can't learn at university. So it's not that the university doesn't teach you, like they do a great job at laying the foundations for your podiatry career, but you just can't learn some of this stuff at university. You really only learn it when you get into private practice and you start working with clients day in, day out. And some of those lessons that I've learned, the mistakes that I've made, the improvements I've made along the way to the way that I practice, and things that I'm still learning and still working on. I've written them in a book, and it's a very simple, easy to read ebook. Little bite-sized pages or chapters with just a different topic on each chapter, and just the real nitty-gritty stuff that new graduates tend to have trouble with, such as confidence, time management, finding a job, finding mentoring, handling money objectives, talking about finances and money with their clients, recommending treatment options, just all that sort of stuff that you don't really you can't learn at university. It's all from private practice experience. So I really wanted to make a resource that would help with that, and just it's sort of the resource that I wish that I had when I came out of university, or that's the premise. That's the basis behind it. That's what I was thinking of whilst I was writing it. It's like what would have been so helpful to me as I was graduating. Looking back on it now, that's what I wanted to create.
So what's your aim for this ebook?
I don't expect I expect people to improve their confidence, right? So by reading a chapter, it might just provide that little bit of insight or that little bit of knowledge that they were looking for or confused about. So hopefully it gives people improved confidence, a bit more clarity, a bit more perhaps direction with their career and what they're doing. And it's the way it's set up, the way it's written. Each sort of chapter or page is a different topic. So people don't have to read through the entire book all at once. Like you might read through a couple of pages and then just reflect on that over the course of a week or a couple of weeks, and talk about it with your colleagues and maybe implement one or two things. Like there's various little challenges throughout the book as well, ideas of what you can implement to see if it works for you or not. So you don't have to read through the whole book. People can read one section and think about it, discuss it, run it through their own system, their own filter as to how it might apply to them and their career and where they're at. And that's the aim of it. It's not like this is what you have to do. It's more just my reflections on what I've learned and the mistakes I've made. And I guess I'm trying to help new graduates and students to not make the same mistakes, even though making mistakes is a really good thing. It's really important to do that. That's the best way to learn, is to go through this stuff yourself. But perhaps the book might give a little bit more clarity and confidence to people to sort of take those next steps.
It's really well put. And I think it's something that is necessary for us as students. I mean, when we graduate, like I can tell you for sure, like, I'm not gonna be that confident, discussing fees and stuff like that with my patients, and how can you, there's such a topic of discussion around podiatrists and how much they charge in private practice, or so, these are essential skills. And yeah, I think it's just, we needed it. It's due time. So I think it's pretty great. What are some of the top pieces of advice that you think are your absolute, like, hands down favorite from your ebook?
Yeah, I've got a few favorites. Well, they're all good in my opinion. Obviously, my biased opinion.
Yeah.
There's 50 lessons in total, but if we want to get real sort of practical and give some people who are watching this video some value straight away, I think keeping it simple is the biggest tip. That keep it simple for yourself and keep it simple for your patients as well. So keep it simple, stupid is the saying. And when it comes to keeping it simple for you, for example, say if you're doing a gait analysis on a client, like you're doing a biomechanical assessment and you're watching someone's walking or their running gait, just keep it really simple. Don't go too in depth as to, what's the midfoot doing during early stance, or how many degrees does the hip rotate during propulsion and all that sort of stuff. Just saying that stuff makes my brain hurt, right? So particularly as a new graduate, I think it's really important that you keep the technical stuff really simple. So for a gait analysis, I like to just have an overall feel and look at how well the client is moving. What's their postural integrity? Are they really stooped, or do they hold themselves well? Do they use one side of their body more than the other? Do they favor one side? And are there any of those really big things in the way that they move that really stand out that may correlate to the symptoms that they're describing? Don't get really nitty gritty unless you really have to. And I still have that approach. Like even with a little bit more experience, I don't go into too much detail unless I need to, unless it really slaps me in the face. I feel as though if you're fussing over whether something is really significant or not, the chances are that it's not. So keeping it really simple for yourself, with the sort of technical podiatry stuff, and keeping it simple for the clients as well. So when you're explaining things to your clients or your patients, just make it really simple for them. Make it really easy to understand, like pretend you're talking to a child essentially, and just keep things really simple. Avoid using jargon. And there's some strategies in the book, or some examples in the book as to what that looks like. So I go through like a plantar fasciitis example, explaining plantar fasciitis to a patient and what they need to do about it. And I break it down really simply. And that's the way that I actually communicate with my clients. And I find that it gets really good results. So because a confused mind always says no, right? So if you're confusing someone, if you just use a little bit too much jargon, or you just go into that little bit too much detail that sounds right for you and it helps you to understand it for yourself, but it might not be the way that it's unnecessary for the client, and it's just that little bit too much, and it causes them to not trust you and not buy into your recommendations. So that'd be my first sort of one. And then there's Couple of others. Time management is a big one that a lot of students and new graduates struggle with, particularly when they first start practicing. Because at university, right, you get longer time with your clients. Well, I did anyway. Like we'd have like an hour, even longer, with each client at uni. Whereas in private practice, that's not the reality. You sometimes only got 20 or 30 minutes with each client. So time management, sort of a really big tip that I've sort of learned, a lesson I've learned, is the value of having a management plan. So a management plan is something that you give to your client. So at the end of their initial appointment, you type up what the key things are that you've been through. So, what their goals are, what their sort of diagnosis is, what's contributed to their diagnosis, and then what you need to do about it. And you type all of that up and you give that to them. You print it out at the end of the consult and you give it to them. So they've got really good information for them to reflect on and read over when they get home. What you've done there is not only have you given your clients a really good resource and a bit of a summary, which is a great thing, but you've also just written your notes. So you just copy and paste that into your treatment notes, and then you just fluff it up a little bit, spend an extra couple of minutes, writing in all the medical stuff that you need to, but the bulk of the work is already done. So since I've started giving people out management plans, I'm actually typing my notes while I'm with them in the room. Like I'm summarizing things as I go for the client, but it's actually for me as well. So then I don't have to spend as much time writing up notes. Like I bet writing notes isn't a thing for me anymore. I definitely don't take any notes home anymore. And I'm not spending overtime rushing to get notes done. So there's a few little time management hacks in there, such as that one, which I think people will find really helpful.
Yeah, that's really smart. I mean, I don't think there's a way that we can do that in like uni right now, the way that we type up our patient notes. But I do get what you mean. Like I spend like an awful amount of time just writing up all these like elaborate notes. And half the time I'm like, I don't think that's 100% necessary. Like our lecturers come in and delete half that shit anyway. So it's like, yeah, and I feel like your first kind of advice, which is keep it simple, stupid, that ties into time management, because if you do keep it simple, you're managing your time a lot more efficiently. So that's really, really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And keeping it simple provides a lot of certainty. So one of my other tips is provide certainty to your clients. And I learned this lesson. It's not a tip, sorry. It's a lesson that I've learnt over the 4 years. And it's really important that we give people certainty. So even if you're uncertain, because this is a common thing that comes up with new graduates as well, is they're not confident in their diagnosis. They're unsure of what to do, like what to do next. So it's really important that even if you are unsure, you provide certainty to the client. And that doesn't mean being overly confident when you don't know what you're doing. It just means, because that would be bad, right? We don't want to,
Yeah.
we don't want to just make something up and deliver it with confidence. That's just that's the definition of being stupid, right? So
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but what you can do is be confident in portraying that you don't know. So just say something like, I'm not sure here, like, and just be really confident in delivering that. Don't sort of and ah and beat around the bush and leave them with more questions than answers. Like, give certainty to the fact that you don't know, right? So say, I'm not sure here, but what I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to figure out what it is, or I'm going to refer you to this person who will be able to tell you what it is. And if you deliver that with confidence, then the patient's going to respect you. They're going to appreciate that confidence, and they're going to appreciate you not trying to figure something out for yourself. They're going to really respect and understand your recommendations, and your colleagues respect that as well. So never try to make anything up. Sort of fake it till you make it. That's the old saying, but that's probably one of the worst pieces of advice it's the worst piece of advice that anyone can give you. So just but same with
like, there is a certain amount of confidence in admitting you don't know something. And I think, like, I mean, this is a bit of a hypothesis probably from my end, and I probably made this up. It's probably not even true, but I think one of the many reasons why we kind of, like, when we are a bit uncertain, we dig our heels in, is because we don't want to face criticism by our peers. We do want to come across as like, yeah, we know exactly what we're doing. Um, because that, like, when you do face that criticism, it does affect your confidence, and it does shatter your confidence a little bit. I don't know if this is something that you found yourself, like when you've been mentoring, and I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it can knock your confidence around. So if you when you get out of university, you begin to realize how much you don't know, and then you uncover more stuff, you do more learning, and then you realize you don't know what you don't know as well. And it can knock your confidence around a little bit, but yeah, it's important that you just embrace that and understand that your whole career is a continued learning experience. So yeah, don't be too worried about that. Actually enjoy not knowing things, because it means that you're going to learn. It identifies a gap in your knowledge that you can work on. So, and that's always a win. So yeah, you got to give certainty. People want certainty. Think about the pandemic right now, like all this uncertainty. That's what's caused everyone to be go crazy. So yeah, when your clients come in to see you, they're looking for direction. They're looking for answers. They're looking for a plan. So even if you don't know the diagnosis, you need to do that plan. You need to outline, this is what we're going to do, X, Y, Z, and this is going to either lead to this outcome, which then will do this, or it's going to lead to this outcome, which then will do this. And it's really, when you get the confidence to deliver it like that, it makes your life a lot easier, as well as you'll get better results and better buy-in from your clients.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. I mean, that's amazing of advice all across the board. And I've already read this ebook, and I can guarantee you that there's more amazing pieces of advice to keep you going. And it's amazing. I just think this thing that you've done is super, super cool. Before I let you go though, do you have any last tidbits of advice for students that are going to be watching this?
Download the ebook, number one, is because it will it will help you a lot. It'll help you get your career off to the right start, and that was the aim with it. But just always keep learning, learn from lots of different sources of information, different people. Yeah, it's a lifelong learning experience. Your podiatry career. It's you if you think you know everything, you're extremely wrong.
I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that. Anyways, it was amazing having you on my podcast or channel. I don't even know what this is anymore. Like, I've just lost track completely. But I love talking to you, and I love talking to Danny as well. I hope you all just doing amazing. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
I will attach a link to the ebook in the description below. So please go get yourself a copy and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks.
Thanks very much. See you later, Hector.